The next topic is the foreign direct investment, and it is about the spillover effect. It says that explain the potential spillover effect arising from the foreign direct investment and using evidence, identify the factors, including the policies that may affect the degree of success of such spillovers. Okay, so first it is the potential spillover effect, various types of spillover effects that we'll have to discuss first, and then you'll have to use the evidence. So your answer should be structured in that way. Okay, first the potentials, and then the evidence. Okay, so there are three types of spillover effect that I mentioned in the lecture. One is the product, process, and distribution. Okay, so this could be the multinational firms or the foreign direct investment can bring the new product. It can bring the new process, production process, or the distribution of the marketing. Okay? Sometimes it could be like marketing technology, it's a production technology, or the processing technology, okay? Or just new product. So that is the most important spillover, the technology spillover, and also it will this spillover effect will mean that there will be improved quality of capital stock. Because it is not just the quantity of capital that MNCs or the multinational corporations will bring. They will bring the quality of capital as well, because those capital will be used for high productive activities. Because the multinational corporations they mostly export. They export most of their products, their output, and therefore they have to be globally competitive. So they cannot utilize these financial resources, the capital stock, in low productive activity. Okay, so therefore these transnational corporations, they will try to improve the quality of the capital stock, and also in the domestic economy as well, the domestic firms also will try to compete with them, and therefore they also will try to improve the efficiency of their capital or the overall productivity of the domestic firm because of the competition. Okay? And they will improve the management skill, or the multinational corporations will bring the management skill, they will bring the marketing skill as well. Okay? So these are the main potential spillover effect that we observe. Now, to what extent these potentials can be realized will depend on the ownership characteristics. Okay, because in some countries there are some conditions imposed on the multinationals that the ownership is not given to the multinationals 100%. Sometimes they ask for a joint venture. Okay, so that there could be the spillover effect can take place to the domestic farms, on the domestic farms as well. So therefore it will depend on the ownership structure and the extent of the spillover, to what extent the market access is available, because in some countries the MNCs, they operate in an enclave, like I mentioned in some tutorials, like in China you have got or in many countries you have got the free trade zone, you have got the export processing zone or something like that. So it's like a special zone which is very much closed. So possibly if the multinationals they operate in that environment which is protected by the government, then possibly spillover effect will not take place, because it is completely segmented from the rest of the economy. They produce there and straight away they just export their output. There is hardly any impact on the domestic farms. Okay? They just take advantage of the incentive given to operate in those export processing zones. And also it will depend on the linkage effect with the local farm, to what extent these multinational corporations they source or they purchase their raw materials or the inputs from the domestic market. I mean, to what extent the vertical linkage is there. Okay, so as long as there's a high vertical linkage, possibly the FDI will have more spillover effect. If there isn't much vertical linkage, then possibly no, because the local content, if the local content requirement is not imposed on them before accepting the FDI, then possibly they will bring most of the technology and as well as the input from other countries as well. So in that sense, the only contribution the FDI firm will have is offering high wage, because they just take advantage of the low wage rate in the developing countries. Okay, so not help the local farmer. And also to what extent these technologies can be absorbed by the domestic farms, and also the factor intensity of these technologies, okay? Because the technology is very much capital intensive, and if the factor intensity is, or the capital intensity is very high, and the domestic farms cannot absorb this capacity, or the domestic farms do not have the capacity to imitate it or to purchase the technology, then possibly the spillover effect will be very, very minimal. Okay? So it will then depend on this factor intensity, and also the degree of openness, because remember, the multinational farms, they mostly they're global farms, right? So they have got the easy access to the global market. They will export their output. But then the domestic farms really cannot imitate the same technology unless they are also globally integrated. If they produce only for the domestic market or the local market, then possibly the spillover effect will be quite minimum, because you are operating in two different markets. Okay? So the quality could be different. The domestic market, the quality could be low, but in the external market, in the global market, may demand high quality goods. So the MNCs will produce high quality goods, and the local farms may not feel like producing high quality goods because there isn't enough demand for high quality goods in the local market. So therefore, the degree of openness of the economy is important, and also the market power of the MNCs, the multinational corporations. If they have a high market power, particularly in the extraction industry, in the oil industry, there is hardly any spillover effect, because they have got so much of market power in oil and energy sector. Then the domestic